Hi guys, Jonathan Chan here with JChownGolf, and if you struggle with striking the golf ball correctly consistently, so you could be out for a round of golf, one shot's thin, next shot's flat, maybe the shot after that is slightly good, but then it's back to the same fat or thin shot again. Because what we're going to talk about in this video, how to stop that with one real simple kind of key move in the backswing. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about that, some good feels to be able to get this straight away, and of course a drill that I really like that really gets you doing this without you even thinking, so that's always good as well. So what's this move that can really cause you to hit some poor golf shots? So we're all talking about contact. So you hitting it a little bit thin, a little bit fat. Now, even though that is happening at impact when we're really doing that problem, obviously because it's a contact issue, but this problem is, I'd say for 95% of golfers out there, is happening from the backswing. So if I'm turning in my backswing here and I'm going to do the poor move, this is what I see quite a lot of the time. You see how my whole body has moved and shifted off the golf ball? Now, a lot of golfers are doing this, sometimes purposely, to get a good coil, get a good turn up there, get their weight into their trail side. But quite a lot of the times when we're thinking about trying to get weight into our trail side, we end up moving our whole body off the golf ball because that's getting weight into that side. Now, why that's going to be a problem is if we're moving our whole weight off the golf ball in order to get ourselves onto our trail side, we now have to move a ton to be able to get back on top of the golf ball. Because ideally what we want to, let's say at impact, strike the ball properly, get it ball than turf, we need to be able to, you see with my zipper here, we need to get that in front of the golf ball, because this is all about what's called low point. If I can get my zipper in front of the golf ball, I'm ultimately going to be getting that club traveling and descending through the golf ball and hitting the turf afterwards. So you can imagine there, if I've come back here in my backswing and I've come off that golf ball, let's say I still shift in my downswing, but I haven't shifted enough, you can see where my zipper is now. It's on top of the golf ball, to where now I'm going to start grounding the club out a little bit early, or I might generally be hitting slightly up on it, hitting a thin type of strike there. So we can imagine if I'm back here, it's going to be really hard to shift really forward to get in front of that golf ball. So ultimately, we need to still get our weight or our pressure into this trail side, but we want to do that whilst we're turning and seeing how I'm staying really on that golf ball. Good way to visualize it here, guys, is I'm going to put a stick, and I'm going to put this stick right in line with me and the golf ball. It might look a little bit off from your angle, but from me it's right on top of it. But you can see here, if I stay really nicely on top where my whole body has still stayed on that line, I have to shift barely at all to be able to get my upper body in front of that golf ball. So when we're trying to do something in a golf swing and we have to do less to do it right, that's more consistent. So for me, having to do less in the downswing to be able to shift my body in front of that golf ball to be able to hit ball than turf, that is going to be, like I just said, way more consistent when we go out and play. Because if I'm coming back here too much, and then I've got to have so much movement to get myself in the exact same spot as I was in the other way of keeping more centered, I really have to move my body an incredible amount. So the easiest thing here to do, guys, for the path less traveled, is always what we want to do in golf. I want to turn up to my backswing, right at the top, staying on top of that golf ball. I'm still in line with this line, nothing's moved off, because then I can really get on top of the golf ball. Once I'm doing that, it's really easy to hit ball than turf consistently. So really good. I haven't hit a single ball today, and that was a very good strike because I stayed nice and centered. Because as soon as I start to shift away in my backswing from this line, it's going to get very hard. There we go, a nice fat shot there to hit the ball properly. So we always want to say, it's like with this stick here, you could almost imagine of what Jack Nicklaus used to say, like there was a pole going right through the middle of his body, and on his backswing he was turning and just swiveling around that pole. People also say turning around your spine. It's another good way to really view it. So having that visual here where we're just staying on top of something and then getting in front of it in the downswing will get us that result we want, but that's just a feel. If we take that out, what's a really good drill for this, guys? Now, this is a good drill for one, staying centered. That's ultimately what this whole video is about, but 2 as well for making sure we're shifting in the downswing, because staying centered just makes it easier to shift in the downswing. It's all so we can shift a little bit easier. So this drill, I've done this probably about 4 times on my channel so far in different types of videos, but this is the perfect drill for doing this, because like I said, it gets you centered and it gets you shifting as well. If I can get the ball to stop here, that would be brilliant. So you can see, I mean, I've only got an 8 iron out here, so we know ball position is going to be relatively middle. Now with this drill, I have this ball right at the front of my stance there. So you can see it's on the inside of my left foot. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my club out the middle of the stance. Now, this is why this drill is really good, because it uses your subconscious brain really, really well. So if my whole goal is here, I've got this big gap between ball and club. My only goal here is to hit this golf ball relatively solidly. That's all I want to do. Now, that being our goal, our subconscious is going to figure out what it needs to do to be able to hit that ball solidly. So the first thing it's going to do, it's going to turn up to the top of the backswing and stay extremely centered. It's not going to shift off, because if that ball's even further forward in my stance now, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to shift the amount to get in front of that golf ball. Not going to happen. So our body will figure this out on its own, which is why it's a brilliant drill. It will turn up to the top of the backswing, really, really centered without you thinking it. So that's why it's really good. But as well, to get on top of that golf ball from here, we have to shift more than normal. So you can imagine if we do a lot of this and then put that ball back to normal, imagine how good it's going to be. So this is a great one to do before you go play, guys. Really, really good one. So if I'm set up here, club's out the middle, there's a lot of gap here between club and ball. I've just got to hit this golf ball. See, I mean, I could almost feel like I'm falling forward, because it's really getting me to shift as well. But for this video, this is a great one for staying centered. I just like it because you don't have to even think about staying centered. You're just trying to hit the golf ball. Your body does it. But even if I did, let's say, one more of that drill, really just trying to make contact with that golf ball. You can see again, feeling like I'm going to fall forward because it's pulling me that way. And then when I get that ball, normally it's going to be so much easier to stay on my center, because if I still imagine that ball is still at the front of my stance and this ball's now at the middle, I can just imagine that, still try the exact same thing, and I'm going to hit a really good strike because I'm going to be staying centered. And then I'm going to I've got then the reps in with that drill to feel a good movement going forward. So even though this is about staying centered this video, even if your problem is shifting enough in the downswing, which is a massive problem we see with golfers, I say these 2 things, guys, are probably the most common thing I see on a lesson tee, is not staying centered in your backswing, and as well, mostly because of it, not shifting enough in the downswing. So with this drill, it will teach you to move your body in the absolute optimum way to consistently strike the ball well throughout a round of golf. I give this drill to so many people, this problem, and it never fails ever. So if you're on the fence of doing a drill here, this one is not a one to be on the fence for. You've got to go and do it. It's going to benefit your game in so many ways. So guys, what we can see, if you are staying centered in your backswing, it's going to be a lot easier to get in front of the golf ball. You're going to have to do less to do it, which means you're consistently going to strike the ball better. Because first things first, when we're playing around the golf, before we even think about shape and direction, we want to be striking the ball well, because it doesn't matter if we're hitting a nice draw or a nice fade like we want to. If we're fatting the ball, it's only going 2 yards, so it doesn't matter anyway. So we want to make sure that strike is really nice and on point. So if you like this video, guys, please make sure, again, you like the video. Please make sure you subscribe as well if you want more golf instruction videos just like this. So if it really helped you out as well, leave a comment down there what you think about the video as well. That also helps me out a ton, just leaving a comment. So if you struggle with this, or even if you want a different topic covered, you can always put that down there and I will make a video about that topic. So guys, stay nice and centered in your backswing, make golf easier for you so you don't have to do as much moving forward in the downswing.